This video is going to be about my story as an escort. I'm not ashamed at all to be an escort. I've even worked in legal brothels in Nevada and pretty much all over the US. And I'll tell you my story because I think it shouldn't be a shameful thing or a hidden thing, because the more hidden and the more people don't want to talk about it, the more people assume things and make up things in their mind that aren't true. So this is my story. It started, my fascination, just like any other normal person or child. We all have fantasies when we're young. Some people might, when they're young, think, oh, they want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a cop. You know, you ask any young person, I don't know, a grammar school, junior high school, I guess most young adults have fantasies or dreams or whatever about what they want to be. Well, I think I've always known that I wanted to be an escort, because my fascination with escorts began pretty early, probably when I was about 10, 9, I don't know. I was fascinated. I would look in the yellow pages and look at ads, or I would pick up papers or something. This was when I was growing up in Los Angeles. I think the first time I ever saw an escort ad, I was like completely fascinated by it. Like, who is this person? And, just really curious about it. And that fascination continued. And when I was about 20, I found myself once again, looking at these escort ads in this paper and just being fascinated. And at the time, when I was about 20, I was doing nude modeling, freelance nude modeling. At the time, there was these papers like called Western Photographer, and there would be a lot of independent photographers there looking for models, or models looking for photographers. There'd be photo day shoots and things like that, and I was doing that a lot. And I don't know, I just was really fascinated. And then I actually saw this ad, this escort ad. It was a guy, and I thought he was really cute, and he was an escort, and I called him, and we just talked, and I wanted to meet him as a friend, on a friend basis. And I don't know, for some reason he decided to meet me. I don't know why. I mean, it's not professional. Usually professional escorts don't just meet people, but he did. And then he ended up being my boyfriend for like 4 years. We lived together. He was pretty much gay or bi or whatever, I guess, because he was with me. And well, I might have a big clit, but I'm not considered male, at least not that I'm aware of. But I consider myself to be in between. I don't feel completely female, but I don't feel completely male. I think I really feel like I'm a gay guy stuck in a more or less female type body, but I don't feel completely female because I can't relate to, how do I say this? When I watch porn, I can't relate to how women get off. I can't relate at all. That's not how I masturbate. I don't masturbate how most women masturbate. For me, that would hurt because my clit is really big and very sensitive. And if somebody tried to stick their finger up inside my clit, it would hurt because I got a lot of nerves there. It's huge, and there's tons of nerves. And I just like the skin to be pressed, I guess is how you say it. I call it my foreskin. I like my foreskin to I like a lot of pressure on my foreskin, and I like my foreskin to be rubbed up and down on my glands. So my clit's about 2 inches long, and I used to be able to, sometimes I'd actually put photos up, and I would get a lot of business that way with my clit. There was papers back when I first started where you could actually show everything, swinger papers. They probably still have them, but I don't live in Los Angeles anymore. I don't want to live in Los Angeles. Of course, I never really thought about that. If I lived in Los Angeles, I could actually advertise myself again and show how big my clit is, but I don't really care about that because it's kind of a cheap way to advertise yourself. But anyway, I'm trying to get more into probably the more elite type of escorting now. I think I've outgrown that type, and I need to move on to the more elite stuff, because the way I see the economy going, there's not going to be much middle class with peak oil, oil depletion, energy depletion. There's not going to be a lot of middle class, and that's mostly what I used to cater to. So it's going to be mostly just poor, really wealthy people in the next decade or so. If we even have a government by then, I don't know what's going to happen. Eventually government will collapse, but not to get off the subject. Okay, so boyfriend for 4 years, he was an escort, then I became an escort. We even did stuff together, like we would do shows for people. I would watch him with guys, all kinds of stuff. Back then it was like really busy. So then we broke up after 4 years. We lived together. He went on to New York or whatever, but we didn't really keep in contact. I don't know why, but we didn't. That was it. I never heard from him again. But anyway, life goes on. People change, whatever. And I decided I wanted to make it a legal thing, legal profession. So I would fly up to Nevada from California, or drive or whatever. I would do both. Sometimes I would drive up to, I used to work at the chicken ranch, but before that I worked at this place called Cherries, but it was a very evil place to work. I found out, like, after just a few months there, I started getting my drugs in my food. They would drug me, and I was afraid that the owner there was trying to kill me. I know it sounds really crazy. I'm not making it up, but he was trying to get me addicted to drugs or something. I don't know. Fuck. I don't care. I made more money there, though, than I made anywhere. And everybody always said you could make more money there, but they work you to the ground. I mean, you never got sleep. You were woken up at all hours of the night to do lineups for people, and you never got to sleep. And it was crazy, and I couldn't stand it. I knew he was drugging me in my food, so I went without food for like 24 hours until I was sober enough to get out of there. And luckily I had my car. If I hadn't had my car there, I don't know what would have happened. But the next morning I just acted like I was going to get up and go to work, and I counted my money, because he'd always have you count your money in front of him. He'd keep the money, and then he'd give it to you in the morning. You'd count it in the morning. Then he'd take it back, to hold it until you leave. But after I was done counting my money, I'd made like about $30,000 for the few weeks that I was there. And I just stuck my 30,000, gave him his half, and stuck my 30,000 in my purse and said, I'm out of here. And I had my bags already, and I got out of there. And the whole time I was so scared that someone's going to come after me and kill me or something. I was out in the middle of the desert, like 2 hours from Vegas, in the middle of nowhere with nothing, just desert. And I drove all the way home. I was so scared. And then I thought, they can't all be like this bad. That was like the worst place ever. So then the chicken ranch, they didn't drug your food. Their food was in cafeteria style, and even the help ate there, and it was okay. I worked there for like 3 years at the chicken ranch. Made a lot of money, bought my first house, moved up to the Mustang because I was sick of the chicken ranch. Worked you hard. I mean, they would get you up at all hours of the night too. So I went to the Mustang Ranch, and there you had hours. You could work either day, night, or middle. They had 3 different shifts. So that was the best place for me. I could actually get my full night's sleep. However, I didn't like hanging out at the bar there, but you know, that's what you had to do. And to make this story's getting pretty long, so to make a long story short, I was just sick of giving people half of everything I made and making other people rich. So I decided just to go back and work again on my own by myself. So that's what I did. The one thing I forgot that I left out was, I think it was like after I met the escort boyfriend. Yeah, it was like right after, I think. Might have been, I don't remember, but it's either right after or right before. No, it's right after. I actually did work for an agency in LA, but it was crazy. They were into drugs and stuff, so I didn't stay there long at all. But yeah, no biggie. You know, I don't judge people that do drugs, but that's just not me. I don't do drugs. I smoked some pot in high school, did a few little things here and there, but never really into the drug scene. And now I'm completely out of the drugs. I don't do anything. I don't even drink. Okay. So I get so sick of people accusing me of being on drugs or something. Okay. I get high naturally. All the drugs you need are in here, okay, in your pineal gland. That's where your drugs are. That's where your DMT is produced. That's where your dreams are created, both in sleep and in reality, okay? So I get so sick of people accusing me of being on drugs. I'm just trying to be really open and honest. And we live in such bullshit, just such propaganda. I mean, I just get so sick of hearing the same thing over and over. People talking about how, you know, call girls or whatever are abused, or they're forced into it. That is such the minority. And even if you get down to the very few that have been maybe forced into it, well, if it was legal, all they'd have to do is pick the phone up and say, I'm being kidnapped. Someone's forcing me to have sex. That's all they'd have to do. But because it's illegal, they're afraid that if they call the police, they're going to get in trouble, you see. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's just like prohibition and alcohol. It's like a lot of people just got sick and died from this illegal alcohol and whatever. It's just crazy. This world is nuts. I mean, I wouldn't want prostitution to be like controlled by the government, but I would like the fucking government to get out of my business. I don't like having to screen people intensely and ask them personal questions. And I mean, yeah, in a way it's good I do that, because I don't want some psycho, you know, coming to my place, and I don't want some cop coming here. Or, you know, you have to screen people, and you have to be careful, you have to have your guard, but it gets to a point where it's just too much. And with the economy the way it is, forget it. It's like, you need usually my how do you say this? From my experience, you need at least 10 to 20 phone calls before you get one person who's legit. I'm not even kidding you. So, I mean, you get so many more people just calling you than you ever do that are like, have the cash now and want to see you now. It almost never happens. You know, so it's very rare that someone calls you and they're ready to see you. Most people are just nosy. They're like, "Woo, how does this work?" Or "What do you do?" And what can you say? I mean, you can't really say anything. So it's just crazy. You just hang up on them because they're stupid. I mean, come on. That's what the erotic reviews are for, right? You go and you read people's reviews, and usually they're more or less, you know, accurate. I mean, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, right? You don't read something and take it completely, word for word. You kind of have to read between the lines. But basically, if a review says that someone's a ripoff, well, they probably are. So whatever. Man, I wish I could go to reviews and read about clients. I wish I could take a client's phone number and type it into the computer and see, if there's any reviews on him, but it just doesn't happen. The best I can do is, check their email and see if they're a real person and, what kind of activity, if they own a business or whatever. I mean, usually if you check up on someone, and you see that they either own a business or they have like a real email or, whatever, or they have a reference, usually they're legit, but, you never know. I mean, there's so many government agencies out there that they do nothing more than just call escorts all day long and try to set them up and arrest them, and there's such a big misconception. I mean, so many people are just so stupid, so ignorant about the law. So many people think that, that undercover police have to tell you that they're undercover. Well, why would they be undercover? That doesn't make any sense. Vice don't tell you that they're Vice. Are you kidding me? You can't say it's entrapment. That would be like saying, if you buy pot from someone and they're Vice and they have to tell you, yeah, right. If that was the case, it would be simple. You could sell sex all day long. You'd never get caught if that was the case, or never get arrested or evicted or convicted or whatever. It's just stupid. No, they don't have to tell you shit. I've had cops give me their IDs before. And it probably wasn't their ID, but it had their photo on it. It doesn't do any good to ask for ID, and it's stupid. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people don't give a fuck about anything I'm saying, but it's a big deal to me because it's my livelihood. It has been, but I don't think it is much anymore. I'm just gonna try to do something, like I said, a little bit different now, because I'm not getting that many calls anyway. So if I'm only gonna get 1 or 2 real calls a month, then I might as well start charging $1,000 an hour or something close to that. Things are changing. I guess I have to change too. I don't know. I guess I ran out of things to say. One more. Oh yeah, I just wish that it was decriminalized, which means the government wouldn't control it, but they would just leave people alone. As long as you're not causing any, what do you call it, disturbance, I guess, of the peace, then you should be left alone. And if a client comes over and gives you a hard time, then you should be able to call the police and tell them, hey, this guy just, didn't pay me or took his money back or gave me a hard time. You should be able to report that. Of course, I don't really believe in government, but there should be privately hired security and police. Everything should be private, not government, but private. Like I should be able to call up a private company, yeah. So if everything was private, we'd actually have free market, which means we could get off the foreign oil and stop bleeding our economy, stop bleeding our country of all its money. So we're like, all our money is just pouring out of our economy, and it's going overseas to big oil and stuff, and they'll bleed us until there's no money left in the economy, and then oil will be so high you won't be able to build new infrastructure because everything will be you won't have the cash to do it, the credit. Banks won't give the credit. So it's nuts. Take care.